Hey guys! Basically I've finished like 7 books lately, so I'm gonna do a different video for each book review rather than doing more than one at once, mainly because most of them aren't they don't fit together, they're just the books that I've read recently. So let's get started. So first book is Fangirl by Rowell. So I bought this book in my book haul, which there's a video to it, and I kind of didn't really know what it was about. I'd seen loads of things on Tumblr, I'd seen the cover, I'd seen fan art of the cover, I'd seen photos taken by people pretending to be the characters from the book, but I didn't really know what it was about other than the tagline that's on the back. A tale of fan fiction, family and first love, which if you've met me is like, basically if you tell me that sentence I will read whatever you give me. I bought this and my god, I love it. It's wonderful. It's fantastic. Go and read it. Go and read it right now. The basic plotline is this girl on the front called Katha and her twin sister Ren go to college, and they meet new people and they separate a bit because it's college and people kind of drift apart even if they've been close for a really long time. And while Ren goes off and kind of does partying and gets drunk and meets new people and flirts a lot and has a new roommate who she's already met and kind of bonded with and become BFFs with, Katha doesn't really want to go out, she doesn't want to go partying, she's not really kind of into that scene. She would much rather prefer to stay at home and write Simon Snow fanfiction. To be specific, Simon Snow Baz / fanfiction. Simon Snow is like a similar to Harry Potter kind of thing. He's a wizard, but Baz is a vampire, and it's like a mishmash of all of the latest kind of fads in books, but written kind of for younger kids, and there's a movie series that goes along with the books and stuff. And Katha's roommate is called Reagan, I think it's pronounced Reagan, or maybe Regan, and her friend and ex-boyfriend Levi or Levy, in my head I called him Levy, and then I talked to my friend about it and he said you're supposed to call him Levi, but I like Levy more, so I'm going to keep calling him Levy. And she also meets a guy called Nick in her writing class. You also have her and Ren's dad, who's called Art, I think it's short for like Arthur, and he lives at home, and Katha is very concerned about her dad because every so often he goes a little bit like extreme hyper, and he'll forget to sleep and he'll forget to clean and he'll forget to do things, but he'll go a bit kind of over the top with things. And it's kind of a story about how you grow up when a lot of the time you don't want to meet new people and you don't want to interact face to face because for some people that's really stressful. Before I get onto the spoiler section, there are some things I want to say about this book that I really liked. So first things first is you open the book and there's this like group photo drawing of all of the main characters, and I really like that. Like I like the idea that that instead of like putting a front cover with all of them on, because the story isn't about most of them, so they don't warrant a front cover, but they are kind of important, and having something like that it makes it look like a book written by someone who is a fan of the story, if that makes sense. Like, it looks like fan art, but in the published version of the book. I also really like the front cover. I like turquoise. I'm a real fan of turquoise, and I like the book idea. I kind of feel a little bit bad that I didn't get this in hard copy, because if you get it in hardback then the front cover's slightly different. So this is Levi. In the hardback front cover he is stood kind of up here behind Katha and like saying Kath, and she's obviously on Tumblr and fantasizing about these two people here, which are Simon and Baz. It also at the back has a little comic strip that's one of the scenes in the book, I don't want you to read that, because if you haven't read the book, it is kind of like halfway through the book, that scene. But I really liked the kind of the feel that it was written by someone who understood the idea that fans have about art and about fan fiction kind of thing. That's kind of my first instincts about the book itself rather than just the story. I really like Cather, I really like Ren, I love Regan. I found myself associating kind of as a mixture of Regan and Cather. I don't know why I'm calling her Cather all the time, everyone else calls her Cath. I liked that I could associate myself so well with two of the people in this book. I really like Levi, he's adorable and really lanky and gangly and just and I really like Art, he's sweet and I feel sorry, but I want to give him a hug all the time, and he's adorable. Okay, so that's kind of my non-spoilery review. If you haven't read this book, I really strongly suggest that you go and read it right now. Although if you have exams, I will understand and forgive you if you read it as soon as exams are over. So, bye, non-spoilery people. Yeah, bye. Okay, so this is the spoiler section. There are a lot of things that I really love about this book, but the thing that I want to start with is I went on Goodreads after I finished this book to read some of the reviews there, because I like kind of seeing whether anybody else thought the same things as me, and if they did, kind of feeling a bit smug about it because I thought the same thing as you, and if they didn't, kind of thinking about what it was that they thought about the book instead. And one person wrote a review of this book that I really disagree with. I can't remember who it was, I wasn't really focusing on names and stuff, but they put things about that for someone who's supposed to be in a fandom of the Simon Snow books, wears all the stuff about having friends on the internet, and she's got a massive audience for her fan fiction, so why doesn't she talk to them all the time, and all of this stuff about being involved and she should be doing stuff more often. And I really disagreed with that, because I'm in a lot of fandoms and I like a lot of things, and I think that this depicted really well how some people are in fandoms and they contribute a lot to them, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they behave any differently online than they would in real life. Kath is not the kind of person who's going to go out and talk to people for hours and hours and hours and hours. She doesn't like that. She stays at home, she writes fan fiction, that's how she lives her life. And the idea that just because she's online she'd suddenly be able to talk to people for hours and hours and hours isn't necessarily true. I mean, I know for a lot of people that talking online doesn't feel the same as talking to other people in real life, and that they find it a lot easier and less taxing, but that's not necessarily true. And I think it's also true about the friendship thing. So for some people, making friends online is more difficult than making friends in real life, even if making friends in real life is really difficult, because it's very easy to misinterpret with things online, and so friendships become even more complicated than they are anyway. And I felt that this was a really good balance of kind of enjoying the atmosphere of a fandom and looking at all of the stuff that's been created, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be BFFs who's ever read something you've written. I'm going to jump around a bit. Basically, it's been 2 weeks since I read this book, because I've been just reading loads and loads of stuff. So the bits that really stick in my mind at the minute, I really liked the fact that she was once she was comfortable with Levy and they started making out and stuff, that she was actually really kind of into it and she did want things, because I think quite often portrayal of the shy, nervous girl is very quickly turned into, oh, she doesn't want to do things, or she does but she's never going to say it kind of thing, which for some people is true, but not for everyone. And I liked that this book kind of said, actually, she's shy and nervous when she meets you, but she does still have things that she wants to do sexually, and she does still she is still into those things. It's not an assumption that just because she's shy and kind of introverted, she's not sexually interested in Levy, because she so clearly is. I loved her and Regan's friendship. I really just loved Regan. Like, I have friends like her, and they just make life so much more fun. And I liked the fact that they had a character of size, because often books, even when a book doesn't explicitly say how big a character is, there's never hints at their size. Like, it's very rare. If a character's big, it's never, oh, they were beautiful and big. It was, they were big. So I really liked Regan. I liked her confidence. I just kind of the picture at the front, I opened it and I was like, that is the hair colour that I had a year ago. And she's really cool, and I really liked the interaction between Kath and Regan, because they're so opposite that they work really well together. Most of the first half of the book I really didn't like Ren. I know she was Kath's sister and everything, but I felt like she was being a bit of a cow. Like, oh, you should just get over your shyness. Oh, you should just go out more. She wasn't making an effort with Kath, and she was far more interested in her new roommate than like ever going home to see their dad or ever seeing her sister, and I was just a bit... But then she nearly died, and I felt much better about that, because she got her shit together. I liked Art putting his foot down with her after she nearly died from the alcohol. Because like, all the way through the first half of the book, he's been kind of like... It's been explained that he's not a very assertive parent, and he's trying to make up for a lot of things about his wife leaving them and stuff. And at that point he kind of says, no, actually, this is not okay, you need to sort your life out. And I really liked that. I really liked the relationships that were in this book. Like, I liked the fact that Ren had her own story, that kind of, she found someone as well, and that although it was never a, like, majorly important thing, it gave her a bit more realism. So like, just because it's Kath's story, it doesn't mean that Ren's life stops happening. Just because she's Kath's sister, I liked that. Did not like their mum. And I think that was part of the reason that I was so angry with Ren, is because that she was just kind of like, yeah, I'll talk to my mum, totally fine with that, and was really unfairly upset with Kath for not being okay with that. Basically, I love this book. Just everything about it. Nick is a douche. Like, it's her writing, and he is just really quite mean about it and a bit of a dick. Which is a shame, because he seemed really nice at the beginning, but also not a shame. She fell for him, and it looked like they were going to get together, and then he was a dick, and she had enough sense about that to not talk herself into liking him more than she did. I think this is going to get a 9 out of 10, and I think the only reason it doesn't get a 10 out of 10 is because there is no sequel to this book. And in a way, I know that I don't want there to be a sequel, because sequels, when they aren't necessary but are wanted, are often a letdown and you feel disappointed by things. But I still want to know everything. Like, I want to know whether her and Levi stay together. I want to know if she graduates from college. I want to know if they have adorable nerdy babies. I want to know if she ever talks to her mum again. I want to know if Art ever finds someone new. I want to know about Ren and her life. I want to know about Regan and whether she gets a boyfriend. One thing that I really liked about this book was the kind of interspersion. Like, between each chapter, they had a page or a page and a half of text. And sometimes it was text from the Simon Snow books, and sometimes it was text from some of Kath's fanfiction about Simon Snow, and sometimes it was Carry On Simon, which is her big fanfiction story throughout the book, and sometimes it was like older stuff that her and Ren had written together. And I just really liked them. I liked how it felt like fan fiction, but it felt like good fan fiction. I liked that it was so reminiscent of Harry Potter. I liked that later on in the book someone says to her that reading / Simon Snow is like finding out that Harry Potter's gay, and I really liked the kind of irony of that, because Simon Snow is so clearly kind of, if not like a parody of, at least based on Harry Potter. But yeah, so I really liked the kind of interspersed bit of that, and I also liked at the back you've got like bonus stuff, and there's also a Q&A at the back with Rainbow Rowell about her about writing this. I like that there's quite a Q&A at the end of the book. I always really like that. I like authors taking time to kind of talk to their fans about stuff. But I also like some of the questions that are on here. So, like, it talks about growing out of the fandoms and stuff, and she says, well, none of the characters really grow out of the fandoms, but they do grow and they encompass other things into their lives. And just because something isn't kind of taking up 90% of your life doesn't mean that it's not important to you, and I liked that. And I also liked, there's a question at the end of the Q&A that's like, that says, would you mind if people wrote fangirl fan fiction, or do you side with Kat's Professor Piper, who calls it stealing? And she's like, no, fangirl fan fiction is totally okay, I'm totally fine with it. I don't read it because I don't want to pollute my headcanon, because I'm not done with these characters. So, one, that might suggest a novella or a second book, maybe. And two, like, authors that encourage fanfiction are like my favourite thing, because I think because I get really annoyed with people who create worlds and then aren't thrilled by the idea that people who've read those books and who've seen that world then want to develop the story on. Like, I know that might not be what you want your characters to do, but at the point at which someone else reads your work, it's not yours anymore. And I really liked that attitude that Rainbow Rowell has for that. So yeah, 9 out of 10 for this book. So if you liked this video and you want to have a chat about this book, leave comments in the comments below, or talk to me about it over Tumblr or Facebook or Twitter, and I will see you next time. Bye.